in, that means you're feeling the vibe. The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live. Right now. Please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope Soul Sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, Brooklyn. All my people, you rocking with the chat. Hit that. The like button would tell me where you at. You know, step from the NBK. Born and raised up NBK. Hey, real lady where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
What?
Dope Soul.
What?
Your soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Salute, Nick family. Welcome to the channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk. Let me get Freezie in here. Welcome to The Neighborhood, a collaboration between me and Uncle Freezie of Blorange Tears. He needs no introduction. You all know who he is. We'll be doing this once a week, every other week on this channel, every other week on either his channel or his audio podcast. For those who didn't know, he'll tell you more about it. He has an audio podcast that's doing quite well from what I understand. A man of many talents. So this is basically Nick takes on your lunch break. How you doing, Freezie?
I'm good. So I'm also available for bar mitzvahs. I do balloon animals. You know, I will park your car. I will do. I'm hustle man. Pick up the pieces.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Always a pleasure working with Freezie. You know, I appreciate Sim giving me that opportunity on Queen's Court. That's definitely helped me get to where I am right now, that exposure. But Freezie behind the scenes, like being that hands-on mentor. What you doing with your channel? Like what are you trying to accomplish? Have you thought about the audio podcast? Listen, this is what you need to do with the logo. You know, just that hands-on person. So Simeon Russell, I appreciate. Freezie, I appreciate, and our relationship has just grown over time. So
shout out to Sim too, by the way. Shout out to Sim Russell.
Yeah,
you know he probably somewhere grinding on something as we speak.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So what I wanted to talk about is we won last night against Miami. It seems like we're solidifying our playoff berth for the second time in 3 years.
Right.
But I guess what I want to know is how good is this team really? Like, what are our expectations going in to the playoffs? Are we there yet, as you talked about on your show earlier? Right. And to me, are we there yet just in terms of making it to the second round? Or are we setting ourselves up for disappointment? Like, you know, as you said, the fan base is all over the place. You know, some of us said, listen, I didn't even expect to get this far. I'm just enjoying it. Wherever we go, we go. There's others who saying if we don't get out the first round, we need to fire Tibbs and we need to move off of Randle. So we're kind of all over the place. And I'm not going to even start with the usual stuff. Like, I think we should lower our expectations because of the perimeter shooting or lack thereof, because our defense is inconsistent or Brunson's hurt. We don't know what's going on with Randle's ankle, Tibbs. Well, what is he going to do? All of that is valid, you know, in terms of tempering our expectations. But I want to go in a little different direction, somewhat controversial. And I just want to preface it by saying, just because I'm asking these questions, don't mean this is what I believe. I'm just picking up on what I'm getting, you know, of, you know, Nick vibes.
Right.
So let's start with Randle. And it's hard to kind of ask this question. He's coming off an injury. You know, this is somebody who hasn't missed a game, right?
Right.
But there are still, Freezie, some fans in this fan base who believe Randle is not a winning player.
Right.
You cannot win with him as one of your best players. And a lot of those fans who believe that are tempering their expectations because they believe if that's your top guy or one of your top guys, you're not getting anywhere. So I guess my question to you is Randle a winning player? can we get out of the first round with Randle as our best player, or some would say second best player? It doesn't matter. One of the best players. Is he a winning player? Can we get out of the first round with Julius Randle as our best player?
Right. And so I think there are multiple answers to the question and the way that the question was prefaced. Right. So there are multiple answers, and it's not multiple choice. What I'm saying is that the question could be answered in different ways, and all of it can be true. Right. So for one, is Randle a winning player? You got to ask a question. What are you talking about winning? Like, where are you talking about going? Is Randle your championship level megastar? We shouldn't even ask that question because as of right now, we know he's not, because he hadn't done it or hadn't proved that he has the potential to be that guy. But at the same time, the organization has not necessarily put any of their best players in the past 23 years in a position to be that. So we don't know. I think they go hand in hand. I think that, look, for instance, if you look at, say, a Giannis type player who won a championship, well, the organization became that organization that was, building towards a championship as they groomed Giannis to be a championship caliber player. Right. The same thing with the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry and things of that sort. So what I would say is I don't think Randle is a championship caliber player. He hadn't proven it yet, but the organization hadn't necessarily put any of its players over the past 20 or so years in a situation where a player of this talent can either sink or swim. Right. If we were in a situation where we were competitive with, say, a Boston, and then Randle couldn't lead us to the promised land, I would say definitely not. But if we had a player, if we were at that level and Randle somehow overcame that hump, then I would say yes. So ultimately, I would say right now, no. But it's not just because it's all Julius Randle's fault.
Right. And what I appreciate you doing, Freezie, is looking at the nuance of it.
Right.
Because there are some people that will say he's not a winning player in a vacuum, as if, first of all, in my opinion, you're not a winning player until you win.
Right.
But there are some people who have a definition of, if you play the game this way, you're a winning player. If you don't play the game this way, you're not a winning player. Whether you want, like, there's some people who will say Dame Lillard, who hasn't won anything, is a winning player.
Right.
Julius Randle isn't.
Right.
Like, okay, how are you coming to that determination? This is the text I got when Randle got the tech recently. Please explain his behavior. Get him the F out of here. It's a text I got from a Knicks fan, diehard Knicks fan. Right. And I said, if you're looking
I got that same text messages, text message from the same person. Okay. I'm not going to say his name, but we do a show on Sunday mornings together.
Right. And I said, well, if you're looking at the entire season, this is just a blip on the radar. And he said, I'm ashamed of you, Stephanie. He's not a winning player, and you know this. So to your point, I agree with you. To be a winning player, you have to win in this league. I'm not looking at aesthetics. I'm not looking at, oh, you take too many shots, that's not a winning basketball player. I mean, this is the rap Allen Iverson, and I only have 4 favorite basketball players from the 40 plus years I've been watching basketball, and he's one of them. Right. He was one that got that rap as well. Oh, you can't be a winning player because to be a winning player, you got to play a certain way. You know, they're not looking at, no. To be a winning player, you got to have a winning roster around you.
Right.
You got to have a quality coach playing for a quality organization. And then you have to be in them situations where you could be tested to be able to say whether you're a winning player or not. If you constantly come up short and you got the roster, you got the coach, maybe you could say, you know what? Maybe it is him. Yeah, he got the roster. He's the best player on the team. He got the coach. The organization is doing what they can to put. And he, year after year in the playoffs, he's not showing up. Maybe he's just not a winning player. That I can understand.
Right. Queen Bee, you know what? Just really, I just want to interject this real quick, right? One of the things that fans don't understand is a lot of the time, I would say the vast majority of the time, the times that you get said good to great player, your team is garbage, right? And you get said good to great player either through the draft or you're rebuilding at a. For instance, Philadelphia got Allen Iverson, one of our favorite players, right, to watch, because they sucked. They earned Allen Iverson. They drafted him number 1 because that team was terrible before Allen Iverson got there. And so they had to build that team up around him. And it's the same. The same could be said for Damian Lillard. That team was in the lottery. That's how they got Damian Lillard to go with LaMarcus Aldridge, because that team was terrible. Right. And so what happens, Randle came to a 17-win team. Right. And so you have to and not you, but fans in general have to understand that a player that we place these expectations on don't always walk into a pristine situation like Kevin Durant did with the Golden State Warriors. Right. Kevin Durant himself was drafted number 2 overall to a franchise that was terrible in Seattle. Right. And so you have to give that player some time to develop into that player that is a winning player. At the same time, the organization that was a loser before that player got there has to turn themselves into a winning organization too.
Correct.
So the two can go hand in hand into these winning situations. I mean, I know that sounds, and I know the chat will probably pick me apart, but the reason why the Cavs got LeBron James is because they sucked. And they took LeBron James number 1. And even though LeBron was on that trajectory, that organization had to build also. And I know some will say, well, LeBron dragged that organization to the mountaintop. Yes. But even if he dragged or carried, that organization still made it to the mountaintop. You know what I'm saying? So you have to kind of, as fans, we have to look at it both ways. Like, you have to look at management is trying to build this thing into a championship culture. At the same time, the players on the floor are trying to win these games to try to take advantage of that championship culture. So is Randle the guy that's going to take us to the promised land? I'm not for you. It takes a total organizational effort to go from a lottery team to a championship contender, and it doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't. And to your point, I think it's premature. Well, like we talked about, to me, I feel like, as we just said, there's nuances to it. Right. It's not just about how your game, the guy take too many shots, he don't pass enough, he's not a winning player. Then you have these other guys who passing the ball around. What are they doing? They still losing. You know what I mean? So to me, it's not about style of play. It's about being in those trenches, being in those, I don't want to say trenches, Freezie, but being in those situations,
right,
and seeing the person in real time and not speculating, because he shoots too much or he, whatever. I don't think he's a winning.
Well, what's his workload? Instead of saying he's a winning or a losing player, what is the workload he's given? And is it a fair workload, or can he handle the workload that he's given?
It's an unfair workload, Freezie.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And some players around the NBA will see Julius Randle's workload and say, no, I'm not signing up for that. That's too much. You asking one player to do, he's leading the NBA in games played, second in the NBA in minutes, second in the NBA in shots, fifth in the NBA in 3-pointers taken. He's a double-digit rebounder. And then you're criticizing him about not closing out on a certain rotation. You video clip it. See, you don't video clip the fact that he's second in the NBA in minutes, but you video clip the little part where he missed 3 or 4 rotations in the game, right? but you don't video clip the fact that his backup is not assertive. So for and I'm not saying that just about Randle. I'm saying that about every Knicks player. Like, we pick out the one thing that we are dissatisfied with, and we pound the table on it. And I think what we should probably do is consider the overall picture. How much is this player contributing to this team on a nightly basis? Is he giving it his all? Yes.
Right. And I think any of the top players on their team will take possessions off defensively. Like, I think it's a lot to ask to be the top offensive player. Since the All-Star break, Randle is taking 20 shots per game.
Yep.
Huge part of the offense. So be available on every offensive play, whether you're shooting it or passing or whatever, you're involved on every offensive play, and be on point on every defensive possession. Listen, as good as Kobe Bryant was defensively, and he was a good defensive player, he picked his spots. It wasn't every single possession that Kobe Bryant played great defense, or he worked just as hard on the defensive end as he did on the offensive end. No, he picked his spots. But when he put the clamps down and said, okay, this is crunch time, this is time for me to do my thing, he did do it.
That is so overrated. And you're right, Queen Bee. Those guys, the Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans, the scorer supreme, and, you know what I'm saying? And we talk about their defense. Man, stop. Michael Jordan had Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman next to him, right? Okay, let's come on. Let's not act like it was 1-on-5. He had two of the greatest defenders of all time around him, and Kobe Bryant had Derek Fisher and Trevor Ariza flanking him with Rick Fox coming off the bench.
Right.
He even had Ron Artest at one point.
Right.
So let's not act like Kobe was doing everything in a team thing, and not you, Queen Bee. I'm saying in general, when we video clip Randle missing a rotation, you know what I'm saying? People act like, well, Randle's lazy on defense. Really, he's second in the NBA in minutes. Right. I mean, come on, his workload is tremendous. I've been a proponent for a long time of giving Randle nights off, whether he wants to take them or not. Load management. Yeah. Right. Because for what he does is too much of a burden for one person to carry. When you're fifth in the NBA, you're fifth in the NBA in 3-point attempts, right? Because you have to stretch the floor because Mitchell Robinson is not a jump shooter. RJ Barrett can't shoot, right? So you have to at least be a threat to shoot the three so that Jalen Brunson can go to the rim and be the Brunson burner. It's unfortunate that it's that way, but imagine if Randle didn't have a jump shot, Jalen Brunson would not be able to get into the. It's these things that go hand in hand is ultimately what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that Randle and Brunson have been able to have the success they've had this season scoring the ball,
right?
Given our lack of consistent perimeter shooting,
right?
I'm a bit surprised. Like, Brunson scores a good portion of his shots in the middle of the key. Right. I think it's him and Luka, I want to say, if I remember correctly, right in the middle of the key,
right,
and not surrounded by perimeter shooters. Yeah. So I agree with you. To be a winning player, you have to win. You can't just look at somebody's game, and that has to do with the team you put around the Knicks and the front office and the coaching staff. All of that comes together. So when we're going into this playoffs, well, let me just ask you, what's your expectation in the playoffs? This upcoming playoffs.
My expectation is that the Knicks are going to play hard against whoever it is. Like, I expect them to play hard every night, regardless of the opponent. I also expect one of the non-essential players to step up into the spotlight. Okay, so the spotlight is Brunson and Randle, right? Mm-hmm. I expect a non-essential person, whether it's RJ, Quickley, or Grimes, to blow up in the playoffs. One of them. That's what I expect, because that's what we'll need in order to be successful.
Right.
Because teams are going to trap Randle and teams are going to trap Brunson on the perimeter. and I expect those guys to basically step up in the playoffs and punish teams for trapping Randle and Brunson. That's my expectation. Now, in terms of wins and losses, I don't know if I have a certain level of expectations for wins and losses. I just expect us to be competitive. So does that mean Eastern Conference Finals? I can't expect that. I can't even expect a second round entrance. You know, I just expect this team to give it their all from game to game. I think they're not gonna look at the second round. They're gonna look at game one and then game two, step by step. I think they're gonna take the Tom Thibodeau approach to they're gonna itemize the way that they move forward. That's what I expect. And I think if they do that, my expectation is if they do that, they'll be successful in the playoffs. Day to day.
Yeah. I could, if everything.
Do you expect them to make the second round?
No, that's exactly what I was about to say. I see a path both. I see a path to the second round though.
Okay.
But if the Knicks play the way they play, inconsistent defense, not good perimeter shooting, they're not getting out of the first round. I wouldn't be surprised. Right. However, that script can change if they turn up their defense, if they get the perimeter shooting that you're talking about. You know, when they attempt to take Brunson and Randle out of the game and we have other players who step up and make them pay for that, yes, the Knicks can get out.
How did you like last night's defense against a playoff team that was fully healthy?
I don't think they were fully healthy, though. I don't think Butler was himself.
Oh, okay. He was there, though. Okay.
But he was there. He missed the Toronto game with a neck injury. He was a game time decision. I liked the defense in the second half.
Okay.
I liked it. In the first half, I thought they got basically, you know, what they wanted. I still have concerns about the perimeter 3-point defense. You know, I think for teams who move the ball, if you don't hold the ball and allow the Knicks to recover, and I think this is for any team, if you move the ball, you're going to find an open shot. And it's just a matter of whether or not you can knock it down. And they was able to do that last night. I was impressed with the Knicks last night, but I'm going to be honest. There were some people last night when I did the MBK post game, and even some in the chat today, one person, I ain't gonna call him out, who think the Knicks are better without Julius Randle.
Okay.
You know, because the ball moved a little bit better, or because we lost to Miami the last time when Randle played, and this time he didn't play the second half and we won. So that means the team is better without Julius Randle.
Yeah, they don't know basketball.
Yeah.
Whoever said that don't know basketball. Whoever said that they don't play basketball, they have never played organized basketball. And the reason why I say that, Queen B, is because you know that teams game plan for a certain individual before the game start.
Before the game starts.
Before the game start, right? And then if that player gets hurt and leaves the game, that means their coaching staff has to make an adjustment to the new personnel on the fly, and it doesn't always work because they weren't prepared for it.
Right.
What NBA coach would prepare for Julius Randle to get hurt and leave a game?
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's one of them things. I think sometimes some of the stuff we hear, I'm like,
yeah, exactly. Or I think, and another thing related to it is, if somebody does it for a week, all of a sudden, you know, that's the guy. And this brings me to my second question, Freezie.
Right.
A little out the box, and I'll preface it again by saying just because I'm asking the question doesn't mean I believe it, but it's out there. So I'm going to bring it up. Quickley, the last 2 games have been playing very well. First of all, he's played well all season. Okay. He's had some bad shooting games, but that happens to everybody. To me, that's just basketball, right?
Right.
Quickley, in my opinion, took the next step this season. And for me, that was learning when you need to shoot and when you need to get the team involved. When you're running the show, you know you can score at will. He can score on all 3 levels, at the rim, and the floater. You know, the 3-point shot, he can get his shot off anytime he wants to. You running the show though. So you got to make the decision when you go for yours, when you set everybody up. I felt like that was the next part of his development, and I'm seeing that.
Right.
Particularly last night in that fourth quarter. I thought his floor game was beautiful.
Right.
Beautiful. Hitting Grimes on a dime when he drew the defense. He was on the right side of the court. He hit Grimes on the 3 on the left side of the court. Hitting Isaiah Hartenstein for that bounce pass. These are all shots Quickley would have put up in the past.
Right.
He would have put that up himself.
Right.
So he's getting better at knowing when, and his defense, perimeter defense, is the best on the team, in my opinion. His defense, his awareness, his ability to cover ground. You got to watch him,
and his ability to direct others too. Him directing others, to me, is the most impressive thing about his game. Because the pass you said to Hartenstein was impressive from Quickley, but the fact that Hartenstein, knowing that Quickley is a willing passer, flashed to the basket, got open, and those two, you know what I'm saying, executed.
They got nice chemistry.
Right. Those are the things that you want to see. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's the reason why Mitch just strolled to the basket on the pick and roll, because he knows the ball ain't never coming. We wanted to pick and stroll because Mitch don't ever get the ball in the pick and roll, right? But to your point, also to the point about Quickley this year versus Quickley in prior years, if you played ball on a level, whether you played high school or college, when you're an upperclassman and you have a freshman point guard, the freshman point guard can't tell you nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You was in 8th grade last year.
Right.
Last year I was all conference and you was an 8th grader, right? And you coming in telling me, so part of that has to do with Quickley kind of earning his chops, earning respect, going through the grinds and all this stuff with his teammates and all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Developing and not being just a young player anymore, but becoming a young veteran. Like a young veteran player, you know what I'm saying, getting some experience and things of that sort. And you see the same thing with Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes is not just the freshman player anymore. Now you see he's a starter. I think he may have 82 starts under his belt now, which is good.
I think he has under his start, you mean?
Starts. Okay. Yeah. I think he may not. He may not. I think he's somewhere in that maybe 50 starts, something, whatever it is. He's got a reasonable amount of starting experience now that he knows how to play with each personnel grouping on the floor. Right? Not just bringing your game and say, hey, I'm gonna do this, but every time the personnel group changes, he knows how to adapt to what it is, whoever's on the floor, which is also a positive thing. And you saw it in action last night when Brunson didn't come back in the game. No problem. Quickley and Grimes playing together, develop chemistry over the years. They know how to play together now. So even if you do go out and get a shooting guard next year, and Brunson and that guy ought to, Quickley and Grimes still have like an energy and synergy and chemistry together where they can play. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no, I absolutely. But to your point, and shout out to Antoine Jenkins coming right up. This is something else, Freezie, that's been going around. Do you think right now IQ is a better point guard than Jalen Brunson?
All right, so I have a bias, right? I have a Quickley bias, and it's not nothing against Jalen Brunson. So let me say this, full disclosure, I have a Quickley bias. Quickley is one of my favorite players to watch, right? So what I'll say about Quickley is I don't think he is a better point guard than Brunson. I do think he's a better facilitator and overall team player than Brunson, because Quickley's defense, because Quickley is a point guard on both sides of the floor. Right. He's going to be the captain of offense and captain of the defense, where Jalen Brunson on offense is almost elite on offense, and defensively there are some things that we wish he could do better. Part of it is because of injuries. Right. So I would say in terms of facilitation and floor generalship, I think Quickley is better. Brunson is what the Knicks need at the moment.
Yeah,
I know that dodges the question, but
no. I think you answered it. For me, I'm gonna say no right now.
Right.
But I wouldn't be surprised 2 years from now if the Knicks are moving on from Jalen Brunson and deciding that, you know, they want Quickley to run the show. This is the thing. I think both of those guys have another level. Like, there are some people who think that where Brunson is now is where he's always going to be. This is who he is. I think Brunson has another level. I think he has to get his body together. I think this is the first year where he's had this type of responsibility for
workload.
this long.
Yep.
The workload. So he has to get his body together. And I think that he can get better defensively. When I look at Van Vliet, I don't see a super quick guy defensively.
Right.
But I see somebody who's really strong and somebody who digs in. Now, I will say, you know, to your point, Freezie, when we were talking about Randle, Van Vliet is not carrying the offensive load that Brunson is carrying. Right. So I'm not going to say that I expect him on every single possession to be a dog, you know, defensively. But I think he can get better. And I think during those times,
it's too much to ask.
But Freezie, you don't think he can improve? Like, during those times, you know, like, it's too much to ask Randle as well. But there have been times where we had to put Randle on on Jaylen Brown for a few possessions. We had to put him on KD for a few possessions. And he had to dig deep because Randle has the ability. It's just about the energy and the stamina given his offensive load. You don't think Brunson can get better on the defensive end and for a few possessions at a time when we really need him to dig in? Or you think that it's not really much he can do on that end?
I don't think championship level teams nowadays do that. For instance, I don't, even when Golden State was winning championships, I don't ever remember possessions where Steph Curry had to lock in and be a lockdown defender against a guy.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that your logic is incorrect. What I'm saying is maybe our expectations of what guys can be in the future. You know what I'm saying? Or in today's NBA. You know what I'm saying? Because once you start taking some of that energy away from Jalen Brunson's offense to move it towards defense, then that's exactly what you're getting. You're taking some of his offense away to focus on some of his defense. Is that what you really want? Of course, we want everybody. As basketball fans, we want everybody to be a two-way player. But in today's NBA, that's not how the game works exactly. You know what I mean? Like, even Devin Booker, you would like for Devin Booker to dig in more, and Devin Booker has become a better defender over time. But at the same time, it comes with him being more efficient on offense and not using as much energy on offense so that he can focus on defense. Like, he's getting better offensively, but he's being more efficient, so he doesn't have to work as hard to get certain shots. You know what I'm saying? Now that he has Chris Paul with him to help him get easy looks, now he can still score and then still dig in against guys his size defensively. The same thing for the SGAs of the world. But traditionally or historically, I say within the last 7 to 8 years, the Damian Lillards don't dig in defensively. They don't take that energy away from a great offense to be that. The Karl Anthony Towns doesn't take, you know what I'm saying? The Anthony Davises of the world are guys that are just so rare. They are so rare. It's the reason why they're the number one pick, because they have what it takes to do both.
Right.
I would say, can he get in like a better shape? Can he rock up more? And then, you know, but if he does that make him less durable?
Yeah.
right? Because
That
look at Kawhi and Paul George and others that are two-way players, they stay hurt.
right. That's a good point too. And if the Knicks had better players around them, defensive players around them, it might be a bit better. But back to, who's the better point guard right now? I'm gonna still say Brunson, as somebody said in the chat. Brunson is just different.
Just different, right?
And for me, it's not just about skill set. I got to see you over a course of a full season go through the ups and the downs, including the playoffs. Like, I'm really interested in seeing Brunson for the second time in the playoffs as well. Like, I'm somebody that I don't get hype off a good game. I give them the player they flowers. They played well, but I don't extrapolate because a person had a good game or they had a good stretch.
Right.
Be like, oh, this person is gonna be this. Did you see them these last 5 games? Did you see them these last 10 games?
Right.
People have good games all the time. People have good stretches all the time.
All the time.
But to be a dog in this league, to be a good player in this league, you can count on that player night in and night out. You know what you're getting from that player night in and night out, even if they're not shooting well.
Right.
And so Quickley, for me, I just want to see him over a longer period of time. Obviously he doesn't have point guard responsibilities. It changes. Look how it changed for Brunson.
Right.
It's one thing to fill in at the point guard position and to lead the second unit. It's another thing to be a full-time point guard that's on the top of a person's board every night, and game in and game out come through for your team. There's levels to it.
And Queen B, the thing that a lot of Knicks fans don't notice is that the Knicks play in the toughest division in the NBA. Right? We play in the toughest division in the NBA, right? On any given night, the best team in the NBA, and this is before the trade, but it could have been Brooklyn, it could have been Philly, it could have been Boston. Then there's a Toronto that you throw in there. We play in the toughest division in the NBA, right? So we don't play in the Southeast where it's Washington, Atlanta, Orlando. You know what I'm saying? We're not in that division, and we're not in a division with Indiana and Detroit and Chicago. Right. Our division is Boston, Philly, Brooklyn, Toronto, and us, right? So every morsel that we get, we have to fight for it.
Right.
Every crumb that the Knicks get. And one of the things that I want to say to our Knicks fan bases is we play in the toughest division. That's why it's so hard for us to keep the fight going, because it's relentless. It's we beat Miami, who we play Friday. Oh, we got Cleveland coming up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's us. We don't do it there. We're not in a situation where we can beat Denver and then, you know what I'm saying, we have a San Antonio coming up.
Right. Right. And who's more happier than me that we no longer have to play Toronto, who got Portal now and getting it together?
Yes.
Like, I'm so happy we finished with them, to your point of the toughest in the division. But
that's the point that I was making about Brunson, though.
Right.
Brunson, this is his first year on the job in New York, which is a tough place to play. He's in the toughest division in basketball. He's learning new teammates who had a losing season last year and who he's trying to groom into winners on the fly in his first year. So to ask if Brunson is a better point guard than Quickley, what I'm going to say is it's not really fair to ask Brunson the first year on the job. Quickley's been here. You know what I'm saying? Quickley's been here, and sure, he hadn't been this version of himself, but he's still kind of been here going through this thing. You know what I'm saying? Brunson, this is his first time playing in the Eastern Conference. This is his first time playing in a division this tough, because ultimately he played in Dallas, where the Houston Rockets and the San Antonio Spurs were trash for years. So even if he did struggle, around the corner could be a get-right game for him. There are no get-right games in our division.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let me check in with the chat Rebuild NYK. That's why JB gets the nod to me. I've seen him all year handle all situations very well, double teams, traps, all that. IQ will get his chance to see all the different defenses.
Right.
Yeah. Brunson took Dallas to the Western Conference Finals. What more proof do you need? Brunson is that dude. I mean, I do think that because Brunson
he took them. Did
What?
somebody say he took them?
Yeah, I don't know if he took them. However, if it wasn't for how he played in that first round with Luka hurt,
Yeah,
they wouldn't have got.
they wouldn't advance, right?
Yeah, they would not have advanced. Somebody said also, let's not forget about, because Brunson has been hurt, people have been forgetting, who he is. For me, I know Brunson can ball in the playoffs, so it's JB for me. I'm trying to mix it up. People are trapped in the moment. Yeah, like for me, I think Quickley is well on his way. I just want to see him over the course of a season against different defenses. And be quite honest, we're not going to see that as long as Brunson is here.
Right.
You're not going to see whether Quickley can man a team over the course of a season when he's playing behind Brunson.
Right. Queen B, here's my question for you. Right. Does one player have to be better than the other, or can they coexist?
They absolutely can coexist. I think the question becomes for Quick, and I don't think it's going to be an issue on this contract. I think it'll be the next contract. He said he wants to lead a team, that he's for winning. Being a sixth man is cool for right now, but eventually he wants to be
the man,
a point guard on a team. And the only way that's going to happen here is when we get to Brunson's second contract. Quickly has grown so much that the front office feels like we can move off of one of them.
I think they can coexist. To be honest, the thing that Quickley has to understand is that no point guard leads a team anymore, right? Every great point guard in this league has a great backup. Every one of them. In order for you to be great, you have to understand that you can go out and give 100%, because when you walk off the floor, you pass the baton to somebody that's fully capable of holding it down while you're gone. Or you can play those two together, whether it's Ja, whether it's Steph Curry, whether it's Damian Lillard, whether it's SGA, whether it's James Harden, whether it's Trae Young, every great point, whether it's Darius Garland, right? Every great point guard in this league has a more than capable backup. And if you have a team that has only one guard that is carrying the full load by himself, you see a team that's struggling in wins and losses, and a point guard struggling to stay healthy. Ask Lonzo Ball how that feel.
Right.
When you don't have a capable backup. You know what I'm saying? You walk off the floor and Alec Caruso was out there trying to be something he's not.
Right.
Or Kobe White or Ayo. It just don't work. Ask D'Angelo Russell what it's like to be a point guard on a team, not have a capable backup. And ask him what it's like to struggle. And in order to be a great point guard, you have to, it's paramount that you have. That's the reason why these guys like to team up. That's why Kyrie and James Harden was together. It was why Westbrook and James Harden was together. It's why Chris Paul and James Harden was together. It's being the guy at point is too tough to do alone. That's why when you look at John's backup, Jones, very good backup point guard.
No doubt about it. But those other guys, though, Freezie, they starting next to the other guard. They're not playing behind them. And so I think this is definitely going to come down to quicks. And I know this is what you're saying. This is what you're saying too quickly. Ultimately, it'll be his call. Probably not this time around, but next time around. about, I don't know if he gets a chance to play shooting guard with the Knicks. The way Grimes is coming up,
Right.
And just being a bulkier player. Now, I'm not saying by any stretch that he's better than IQ or has a higher ceiling than IQ. He's just, some would argue he's better built for that shooting guard position.
I'm not for sure. I'm not for sure why that would be their mindset, though. I'm lost on that.
Whose mindset?
That whoever would think that Quickley is built to be off the ball.
I think he could play both.
Yeah,
it would just be 2 point guards, and like if it was Brunson and IQ, to me it'd just be two,
right,
2 point guards, two people who can handle the ball.
I think they're the same. I think they're the same type player offensively. I think they're both combo guards. I don't see Jalen Brunson breaking down. For instance, I don't see Jalen Brunson manipulating a defense to create easy shots for others. If that were the case, Mitchell Robinson wouldn't be on. Mitchell Robinson wouldn't be on the internet talking about I don't get no shots. Right. You know what I'm saying?
I think he can do it, and I think he does do it. But I just think that his shooting percentage in the key, like he just feels like, okay, who am I? I'm right here.
Right.
In my wheelhouse where I'm shooting one of the best percentages in the league.
Right.
And so now I'm not going to take the shot and pass it out to who? Who has a better shot than me right here? Right. You know what I mean? But I think he can do it. And I think, you can argue that maybe that's the next level of his development as well. To take less shots.
His 3-point shooting is excellent. I think right now he's at 41% from three, which is a career high, right? But my critique of Jalen Brunson, and it has been for years, is Jalen Brunson is not a long passer. He's a shuttle passer. He's more of a Stephon Marbury type passer. Like if you're within, say, a certain, he'll, dish off to you and get you a shot. But he is not gonna draw the defense towards you, towards himself, and make a long pass cross court to a wide open shooter. That's not his forte.
Right.
And if he was more like that, then I'd be like, okay, this is the evolution of Brunson, and maybe that's coming along. Maybe that's his next step. Because
I think the next step is having the players to do that too as well. Right, you got RJ shooting 31%. Because that's something I do wonder. Like people talk about, Randle is a willing passer. I believe Brunson is a willing passer as well. Right. But at some point, I'm sure they're like, yo, who are we passing to?
Yep.
Like who are we passing to?
Yep.
So I do think hopefully we'll see, does he get better in that respect just on his own? And can the Knicks put better shooters around those guys where they'll feel more comfortable giving the ball up and passing it? But talking about RJ Barrett, and our expectations going into the playoffs, are we at the point now where we can finally say RJ Barrett is not a 3-point shooter? I think when you take, let me see if I can find it. All right. First year, 32% from three. Second year, 40% from three. Third year, 34% from three. This year, 31.8 or 32% from three. For a season, for his career, is 34.5, which is about average, right? The average is 35%, I think, in the NBA. I don't know what the average is for his position, though. The average in the NBA is 35%. But you take away that 40%, which is his second year, and he's shooting 33% from three. Yeah. So
like a backup center from three.
I don't know if the backup centers is shooting 33%.
RJ Barrett is like Dikembe Mutombo from three.
Oh,
and I'm kidding, y'all. I like to troll the chat. I know the RJ fans are like, no, Uncle Freezie hate RJ. No, I don't. I love RJ, man. I love RJ.
So, but this is the question I have. So RJ Barrett, since the All-Star break, his shots per game is going down, which
Yep.
I like. You know, I just feel, and this could be super old school. The players who are more efficient, those are the people that could get the shots. You know, especially if you're not contributing in other areas. So since the All-Star break, Barrett's shots have been down to 15. So Randle is taking 19.9 shots. Brunson 15, just 15.5 shots since the All-Star break. RJ Barrett is down to 15 from like 17 point something. This is my question though. Have we gotten to the point, have we seen enough where it's just time to move off of RJ Barrett, even if it's for pennies on the dollar? Have we seen enough from Grimes? Have we seen enough from Quickley to believe that given more shots, we would get more from them than we get from RJ Barrett? And is it time for RJ Barrett to play like 20 minutes a game? Or do you need to see more before you make that determination?
Wow. Is it time to give up on RJ? No, I say it's definitely time to give up on Obi. But RJ, because with Obi, you don't necessarily know what you're getting. You're hoping you're going to get something. You don't know what. You want Obi to be a glue guy, a connector, kind of, but he's a connector that can't connect, right? RJ brings a steadiness. I think RJ Barrett is that now. Does he frustrate me with some stuff in his pick and roll when he back up all the way to the logo to get a running start? That's ridiculous, RJ. That's ridiculous. The whole defense get to reset while you backing up. I don't know. 20 minutes a game is kind of. Do you give those minutes to Josh Hart? No.
I'm bumping up Quickley's minutes, Grimes' minutes, because remember, since Hart has been here, Grimes' minutes have gone down.
Right.
A lot. I just think that RJ, I'm not saying he can't be a good player. I just think we need to reevaluate his role on his team, on this team, and the number of shots. Like, even if you don't move off of him,
right,
we got to reevaluate his role on the team.
Okay.
You know, I think the shot allocation, I just think we can get better use of the shots and better use of those minutes from other players. And it's not like you can sit there and say, listen, he might not be efficient. He might not be shooting from three, but you're getting 6 rebounds. You're getting 4 assists. You know, you're getting a steal a game. You know, you're getting, you know, he's holding, you know, whoever he's defending, you know, below average, or they're not shooting. You understand what I'm saying? You're getting something else. I just feel like we need to just reallocate the minutes and the shots.
Yeah, I would say this: if RJ Barrett was a better three, it would connect better from 3-point land. Same shot, same roll, same everything. If he just connected better at the free throw line and from 3, we're having a totally different conversation.
What's better from 3?
But the mere fact that RJ Barrett can't shoot is troublesome. It's the reason why we're having the conversation. Like for instance, on those shots where when we play against teams and Brunson is trying to penetrate the paint and RJ Barrett is wide open in the corner, Brunson, you like, do I shoot this? Do I try to dunk over Boban, or do I kick it out to RJ Barrett in the corner wide open for 3? I'm gonna just try to dunk on Boban because it's gonna be a miss regard. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those. It's one of those things. Like, if RJ could shoot, so ultimately, okay, I'll concede. Yes, it's time. It's time. Cut his minutes, because my fear is that this time next year we'll be having the same conversation. only if RJ Barrett could shoot. Because quite frankly, we were having the same conversation this time last year. If only RJ Barrett could shoot. You know what I mean? I think the shooting thing is going to determine whether he's a multiple-time All-Star or just a guy. And right now, he's looking like just another NBA dude taking a lot of shots that can't shoot.
You know, there's games that RJ Barrett will have, and even stretches of games. Like before these last two games, I mean, he's shooting 45.6% since the All-Star break, by the way.
Yeah.
Right. But his 3-point shooting since
is
the
at
break,
30. Is at 30%.
Yeah, like 28 point something since the All-Star break.
Right.
And so to shoot 28.6 or whatever it is from the 3-point line and still shoot 45.6% overall, something like that, that's telling you that from the 2-point range,
right,
he's doing very well.
Right.
But I just tell you, Freezie, it doesn't look like it. Like there'll be games, not these last two games, where he's finishing at the rim. They were losses though.
Right.
He was efficient. He wasn't hitting the three. Everything he drove to the rim was going in. And he said, you know what? I see a path forward for RJ Barrett. If he's finishing at the rim, he's getting to the free throw line. He's hitting his free throw shots. He's playing decent defense. I see a path forward for RJ Barrett.
Okay.
Then it goes back to still not hitting from three, but now missing at the rim. Now driving and turning the ball over. And then I'm right back to where I was 3 games ago. Like, I think it's time. Right. I just think it's time.
What young Knicks player had an extended look? No young Knick in our lifetime has had this long of a leash to do something, to either to poop or get off the pot. I mean, even back to Ray Williams. If you talk about Ray Williams, Bill Cartwright, Darryl Walker, whatever young player came in the door, nobody has had the leash that RJ Barrett has had. Right? At some point, we got to either poop or get off the pot. And even though I don't like it, it may be time. I think your suggestion may be what we need to do. And let RJ prove himself to get those minutes and roll and looks back.
Yeah, I mean, and the few times Tibbs did tighten up the leash a notch where he didn't close a game or whatever. Now he don't want to speak to the media because he don't know what he don't want to say the wrong thing. One time you don't close a game, so now you can't speak to the because you're so upset. I mean, yeah,
because he's the golden child. He's the future New York Knicks basketball. Whether we like to hear that or not, Quickley doesn't get a leash like that. You know what I'm saying?
This is kind of long too, but not that long.
Nah, Tibbs will. I mean, Tibbs does play favoritism with Quickley, and it's because of Quickley is bananas up here. Like I saw Calipari cuss Quickley out one time. I'm in South Carolina, right? So I saw them at Kentucky. Quickley throws a pass, a backdoor to pass to a guy that started to cut. The ball goes out of bounds. Both of them looking at each other like, I thought you was going. Nah, the play said, and the ball goes out of bounds. Calipari cussed for like the next 7 minutes at Quickley. And Quickley went over and patted, hey, it's going to be all right, coach. Let's go. Quickley has got like a screw loose. So, he don't look like it. He looked like the boy next door. But Quickley's got like this fighter pilot thing about him that I think coaches like. Like he can brush off the play and still be good for the next play.
Oh yeah, I heard Tibbs say no, like don't shoot that. No,
right.
He pulled up anyway. Like
he pulled up anyway. Yeah,
yeah. He's just built. He's built differently. There's no doubt about it.
Is that what we need in New York though?
I would say yes, partly because his game is catching up to his mentality.
Yeah,
because in that first
his
season,
body,
I was
body
like,
too. And his body, his body is catching up to all those, to his mentality and his game. and all of that stuff too. Because he mentioned for the first time in his life he weighs 190 pounds.
Wow.
So he can take the rigors of the NBA.
Right. And doesn't seem to have lost a step. Some people, when they put on the muscle, you could tell the difference in their mobility and things like that. He's wearing it, he's wearing it well.
Yeah.
Jarrell thinks, and we haven't talked much about Mitch. I don't know if we'll be able to get to it in this show, but since the West Coast trip, I have to crunch the numbers. I think Hartenstein has been playing more minutes than Mitch, definitely over the last 2 games. I don't know if Mitch is hurt. I don't know if Tibbs just thinks Hartenstein is playing better at this point in the season. I'm not sure what it is, but last night he played 19. Right. He played 19 minutes.
Right.
So I'm not sure what's going on with Mitch. And Jarrell is basically putting Mitch and RJ in the same boat, in the sense that, not a lot of change, not a lot of development over the 4 years. And I know some people, Mitch is a very controversial, what's the word? Polarizing figure, player. Some people feel like he has gotten better, and some feeling like, nah, not really. We talking about incremental improvements from year to year. Before I ask you this last question and we get out of here, it's a fun question though. It's the last Nick question. Okay. Just your thoughts on Mitch, particularly as of late.
It's the Mitchell Robinson thing is concerning to me, but I'm also satisfied with Mitch in a way. My thing with Mitch is this: if Mitchell Robinson played with Trae Young, he'd be averaging 12 and 12.
Yeah.
Right. But he doesn't. He plays with.
Why would the rebounds be better?
Because you get more offensive opportunity at the rim, and in my opinion, and you play at a faster pace. You know what I'm saying? Like think about the pace that Atlanta plays at, and the pace that we play at. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. Like more shot opportunities, and quite frankly, Trae Young is better at creating shots for himself and others. Not saying that they all go in. I'm talking about the shot creation aspect of it.
No, I agree.
Yeah. But the thing is, you play with Brunson, who's undersized for his position. He's undersized for the shortest position on the floor.
Right.
Right. So he can't pass over the top. He has to pass using angles, which a lot of times, by the time you get to that angle, that passing window may or may not be closed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And teams are not just going to give up the Gotham lob anymore. Remember, the Gotham lob was a thing. Teams have taken that out of Mitch's bag, right? So now I looked at, he gets 4.5 shots a game. That means Mitchell Robinson plays a whole game and gets 1 shot per quarter.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where you're like, the thing with Mitch, is he not getting better offensively is the reason why people are down. Because defensively, I see his rotate. Man, he's excellent as a backline defender, right? And I mean, teams, you take Mitch out the game, teams attack the rim on Hartenstein. They don't attack the rim on Mitch. You know what I'm saying? Mitch will go to him and cut off the drive, right? It's small things that Tibbs sees. Like you're not driving the lane on Mitch. Mitch is going to go to you and contest.
Right.
Whereas the other bigs are reactionary at the point of attack.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then with that said, so there's that defensively, but offensively, Mitchell Robinson, if you're frustrated with not having the ability to score, how about not shoot 48% from the free throw line?
Yeah.
I think it starts there. Like 2 more free throws a game gets him up to like 68%. And it gets him at about 10 points a game.
Yeah, but I think, part of that could be coaching as well. Just emphasizing. When you get in that lane, and because there'll be games in which they'll do it. You know, Brunson will hit Mitch, RJ will hit Mitch, and then all right, Mitch, that's your quota for this month.
Yep.
We'll see you in April.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just feel like it's something that could be a staple of the offense. When you think about, especially as much as the Knicks play pick and roll, when you think about when we got killed in that Atlanta series 2 years ago, that was it. It was just pick and roll.
Yeah.
But I will say,
Atlanta was pick and roll. We were pick and stroll.
Right. Atlanta was pick and roll. But I will say, in I guess our defense is that when Trae Young gets past that first line of defense, every option is open to him. The floater, the lob to Capella, and if you cut those two off, the wings, those wings for three-point shooters.
To your credit, as soon as he gets even with his man, there is Capella on the roll, right? The weak side lob to John Collins, right? A corner three specialist behind Collins.
Right.
That way, if you prevent Collins from getting the lob, the man behind him in the corner for three at that time was Danilo Gallinari knocking down corner threes. Right. See, we don't have that because
all options but available. We don't have that on our.
We don't have that, and for that reason, Mitchell Robinson is neutralized on a nightly basis.
Right. Because I think that's the question. How much of it is them not seeing him, and how much of it is they're taking that option out of the play? It's probably one of different things at different times.
Right.
Probably different things at different times.
Yeah, because it boils down to RJ Barrett can't shoot is hurting our offense. Everybody is on the floor. RJ Barrett not being able to shoot hurts everything that we do on the floor. Now we got to rush Grimes into becoming that shooter because RJ can't do it. Right. And then when neither of them are hitting, now is Julius Randle is taking contested threes from the perimeter over a guy 6'10", 6'11".
Right.
Or Brunson barreling into the lane to shoot a fadeaway over somebody 6'7", 6'8".
Yes.
And it boils down to if RJ Barrett could knock down the three at a respectable rate, we wouldn't be rushing Quentin Grimes to develop, and we wouldn't be looking at Julius Randle shoot the fifth most three-pointers in the NBA because Randle is a better three-point shooter than RJ Barrett.
Right. And this is why one of the reasons when I talk about my expectations for the playoffs, one of the concerns I have is our reliance on Grimes and Quickley. Like they can't. I mean, Quickley's third-year player, so you can argue that he's there to be relied on. But I just feel like when you look at these other teams, those who you think are going to go past the first round, they're not counting on their second-year players the way we counting on Grimes. I'm not even sure they're counting on their third-year players the way we counting on Quickley. Like we need Grimes and we need Quickley.
Right.
To grow up fast.
Right.
And it's somewhat unfair. I mean, it is what it is. I don't want to say it's unfair. It is what it is, but yeah, you just wish that they can just grow into their roles instead of going in and be like, yo.
Same thing with Brunson too, though.
Yeah.
Same thing. We're microwaving Brunson into a dependable playoff guy, knowing that this is his first year being a primary ball handler on a playoff team.
That's true. But so are you saying that we should have, like for me, I don't have high expectations for Grimes and Quickley, but that doesn't mean that I'm not saying that to say I don't believe in them cats. What I'm saying is if they're able to do it, great. But if not, I'm not going to get on Grimes or Quick because they weren't able to come through. I just think the roster is constructed in such a way that we have to count on them and we shouldn't. But are you saying that that's the same tack we should take with Brunson, that we shouldn't be expecting a lot from him? And if he doesn't come through, so to speak, it should be okay because he's also just growing into that position?
No, I'm saying that these guys are going to go out there and play their hardest. Basically, give it your all and live with the result is basically what I'm saying.
Okay.
Just give it everything you got. And then if you make the second round, be thankful, and then get ready for the second round and give it all you got again, right? As opposed to, no, this is what we have, and we should be able to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. What I'm saying is, put your head down and work, and then live with the results afterwards.
Right. As opposed to, we better get out the second, because I see it already. I see it already.
Yeah.
Like people right now, you hear the fans saying, you know what, it's okay. Nobody expected this. You know, it is what it is. I'm just happy for what they. And then if we lose in the first round, please don't let it be 4 games.
Yeah, fire Tibbs and trade Randle. That's what it. Right. That's what it's going to be. I mean, the writing's on the wall. Even though the workload for both Brunson and for Julius Randle is unreasonable. Quickley is coming along, lightening the load for Brunson, but there's nobody coming along lightening the load for Randle.
Correct. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. And you can argue, oh, we're not the same team with IQ. All right. Okay. But it's not the drop off that it is behind Julius Randle.
Right. Right.
You know? All right, we out of here. I just got a fun question for you.
Okay.
Real quick before we get out of here. Not Nick related.
Okay.
Would Larry Bird be an all-star in this NBA?
Yes. He'd be league MVP multiple times. As a matter of fact, Larry Bird in this era would be the MVP for the next 8 seasons straight back to back. Nobody even close. And here's why. Here's why I say that. If you name the top 4 players in the NBA right now, I would say it's Giannis, Joel Embiid, Luka, and Jokic.
Mm-hmm. You wouldn't put Durant there right now because of the injuries?
No, okay. I think Durant is slipping. I barely have him in the top 10.
Oh wow.
Right. And so with that said, if you can imagine Luka Doncic shooting 45% from 3, Luka shooting 45% from 3, right? Is basically bigger and double-digit rebounds. People forget how great of a rebounder Larry Bird was, and an assist man. In today's NBA, where you can barely breathe on a guy, Larry Bird would average 38, 12, and 8. And the only reason why he wouldn't average a triple-double is because he wouldn't want to embarrass the league. In my opinion, where you can't even encroach on somebody's landing area, you can't touch their shooting hand anymore.
Right.
Larry Bird would average 38, 12, and 8, and it wouldn't even be close. And I say that because from about 1980 to 1984, Larry Bird was the best player in the NBA.
Right.
Even over Dr. J, even over Bernard King, who was probably the second best player in the NBA. Yeah, Larry Bird nowadays would be. And you know what the unfortunate thing to that would be?
Mm-hmm.
He'd be playing for the Celtics, and he'd be in our division.
As he was. I mean, what I'll say is you hear that argument all the time about players in another era couldn't play in this era. And I always say, keep in mind, you're not taking a player out of the 80s and dropping them into 2023. They're going to take advantage of the same nutrition, saunas, body work, all of the things.
Travel,
dietitians, workouts, you know, all of the things these guys are taking advantage of. Schedule. They would take advantage of too. Load management.
Yep.
They would take advantage of it as well. And they've always been slow guys who can't jump that high, who's had tremendous success in the league. Dirk Nowitzki, Luka right now. So to me, that's not even an issue. Larry
Right.
Bird was that dude. I just think
He
he
was
gets
that
lost
guy.
in the conversation when we talk
Yeah.
about the greats.
I think Michael
In
Jordan
the
would
80s.
struggle in this era, though.
You think Michael would struggle?
Yes, I think Michael Jordan would struggle in
You
this
see
era.
how physical they were with Michael? They wouldn't, and he was still averaging 30.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to do that.
But he can't shoot.
It got better. It got better as his career went on.
And we're in a shooting era where see, when Jordan played, they didn't run, they didn't ice pick and rolls, they didn't trap. It was just, now mind you, I know you wouldn't be able to touch him, right? I saw a dude get called for a foul on Jordan, and all he wanted was an autograph. He was like, Mike, can I have your autograph? And dude got a foul call him. You couldn't do anything with Mike. Couldn't touch him, right? But in this era with elite athletes and guys that can shoot, I think Mike would struggle some. And then plus the 3-point line has been moved back since then, or moved closer. I can't remember what it is, closer or back or whatever.
It's definitely more prominent.
Yeah,
because Larry Bird was only taking, if he took 3, that was a lot.
Yeah.
Back then.
Can you imagine Larry Bird taking 9 threes a game?
He needed no space.
None. No space. And no space was given.
Right? And he still made it. When he got baseline extended, because listen, obviously he killed the Knicks. I can't tell you how many times. Last second shot,
it was
that
over.
Left baseline, you like this.
Right.
It's as soon as I saw him curling, he get to that left baseline, like, and they give him. I'm like, oh,
they just needed. If Dennis Johnson got the pass off to Larry Bird, then just go hit the showers.
Right.
And I remember we drafted Obi Toppin to guard Larry. I'm sorry, Kenny Scott. I get both of them confused. Kenny Walker, Obi Toppin. It's the same person in my mind. But we drafted Kenny Scott Walker to guard him and McHale.
And for somebody, but the other thing was the screening was much better then as well.
Yeah.
When McHale laid a body on you, the wood was laid.
Yes.
And Bird had a quick release.
Yes.
As well. And he was an underrated passer.
Right.
He just knew to get, see, to me, I think people get caught up in skill sets.
Right.
People get caught up in how you get it done instead of when you get it done.
Yeah.
And when you think about
getting it done.
Or getting it done.
Right. Larry Bird just got it done. Yeah.
Well, whether or not you got it done. Correct.
Right.
Oh, this one can run and jump and play good defense, and all this one can do is shoot. Listen, all we need is for you to get to your spot.
Right.
That's it. We knew what Michael Jordan was going to do. He was going to go down to the box, that right box for the turnaround fadeaway in the post.
Right.
You couldn't stop it. Larry Bird was going to get that baseline extended shot on the left side.
Right. I think Pat Ewing in this era would be league MVP multiple times. Right? Because when I watched Joel Embiid, when I watched Joel Embiid, I'm like, he is doing what Pat was doing, except Patrick Ewing was better. Pat Ewing is a better version of Joel Embiid. And I know for some that are sour on Pat because they watched Pat at the end of his career. They saw Pat with bad knees. They don't remember 1988 Pat. That was just dunking on every center, that dominated Olajuwon, dominated Parrish, dominated Liston, dominated Sigma, dominated Rasmussen. Right. You know what I'm saying? Pat Ewing was that guy. And a lot of our fan base, and I'm not saying young people didn't get it, but because nobody can help when they're born, right? Because just like I don't remember Willis Reed like that. I remember him, but I don't remember his game because I was like 7 years old, right? When Willis Reed was, doing his thing. But the thing is with Pat and those guys back then, Queen Bee, I ain't gonna lie. Pat, if you remember, I think it was 19. For those that don't remember, the Knicks are the team that used to put dynasties away, right? We put away the Atlanta Hawks thing with Dominique Wilkins. We retired the Boston Celtics, that McHale and Parrish and Bird era. We did that. We ended the Bad Boys Pistons run. We did that. The Knicks, right? We did that. The Milwaukee Bucks with Don Nelson and all them. We did that, right? That's why teams hated us, because we put dynasties on mothballs. Our only thing is we couldn't ourselves get over the hump. You know what I'm saying? Because
roster construction was part of it. It's kind of what the Knicks are dealing with now.
Right. But the Knicks have a strong legacy. We retired those Philadelphia 76ers with Moses Malone and Dr. J and Cunningham and Andrew Toney and Mo Cheeks and all of them. We did that, right? But, it is what it is.
The only thing I'll say about Pat and Embiid is Embiid got that mid-range. You see how he be putting the ball between his leg and then he pull up foul? I'm like, wow. Like, Pat didn't have the greatest hands. He had those small hands.
Would Embiid been able to do that with Elijah One guarding him? No.
Yeah, no.
Or David Robinson guarding him? No. Would he have been able to do that if he guarded Shaq for 48 minutes?
Right. Yeah. It was different. It was. I'm not saying Embiid wouldn't have been good. He would have still been good, because you also got to say players' mentalities have a lot to do with it. They would adjust their game. If Pat was playing in this era, he would shoot more 3-pointers. He would adjust his in his game. And if Embiid was playing, then he would be down low. He wouldn't be.
The greatest 3-pointer I ever saw in my life was we were down 2-0 against Boston in a best-of-5 series. We tied it up. We had to go to Boston Garden, and we was whooping Boston on their own floor, and the game was out of hand, and the ball was dribbling out of bounds, and Pat saw it, and he went over there to the corner, and the shot clock was running down, and he was like, shoot it. Yes. And Pat shot that ball in the Boston Garden, and when that ball went through the net, you saw Boston Celtics fans just knew that was the end of an era. Right there. That was the piece de resistance right there. Yeah. Right? Retiring those Larry Bird Celtics right there. The Celtics was like, oh.
Yeah. I watched every game Patrick Ewing played while he was a New York Knicks. That's my guy. I only got 4 basketball players over 40 years that I really like. One of them didn't even play in the NBA. And Pat Ewing was one of them. This guy, if you took up the garden floor, you wrung it out, it'll be his sweat and his blood on. Patrick Ewing gave everything he had. That was my guy, man.
Everything. So respect to Pat Ewing. I hope the organization brings Patrick Ewing in now that he's not totally attached to the Georgetown family anymore, and that capacity that kept his schedule super busy. Maybe he can come in and be a liaison for us, and then that way we can kind of slowly mend some fences.
I wish he would be an assistant coach, but I think he said he doesn't want to be an assistant coach anymore.
Not all that traveling. Nah, he probably don't want to do all that traveling anymore.
Yeah. Because I think with Tibbs here, if anybody could bridge the gap or whatever it is between the Knicks organization and Patrick Ewing, it would be Tibbs. I think he would. That would probably be the only one he would be like, okay, I'll coach with you. Right. Other than that, I'm not sure it's happening.
Yeah.
The other 3, why is it escaping? Magic Johnson, Allen Iverson, Cheryl Swoops, and Patrick Ewing. Those are the only ones who've captured. Now I've liked other players,
right?
But those 4.
Like other players have fascinated, piqued my interest. Like Tracy McGrady. You're like, wow, how was a guy that big doing all this stuff?
Right.
Grant Hill. Right. Grant Hill in his prime. You're like, how does a guy this big do all this stuff? But in terms of like my top 3 Knicks of all time, or top 3 players of all time, it's easy to me. It's Clyde Frazier. To me, Clyde Frazier can do absolutely no wrong. And even when he wear those ugly suits to the game and call a game, I joke with him about. I'll tell jokes, but nobody else better tell a joke. Because Clyde is my guy. I love Clyde Frazier, and I loved Michael Ray Richardson because I loved big lightning quick point guards that could do it all.
Right.
And he was one. So, and the other, of course, we know is Pat. So,
who was the second one? I'm sorry, Clyde, Pat. I missed the second one.
Michael Ray Richardson.
Michael Ray Richardson.
Yeah.
Heck, so none of the new cats.
No.
Wow.
Nope. Not even the fake Nick, Mark Jackson. When I see Mark Jackson, I think Indiana Pacers.
Right. Yeah, I think Iverson played longer than was in the league after Pat, right? So I think Iverson is the last one. Because I think Ewing retired before Iverson's career was over, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, Iverson is, and I've liked other guys. I love Carmelo Anthony. I know they be bringing the heat on my God, man. I love Carmelo Anthony, but not like those guys. Those guys, I would just be like, wow.
Yeah.
When I watch Magic play, that's my first play. I like Dr. J too.
I like Dr.
But then
J
when
too.
Magic came, it was like, yo,
he was exciting.
you see what he just,
He
what
was
he just
exciting.
did. And Iverson just tough. Iverson was everybody character-wise.
Right.
I wanted to be when I was younger.
Right.
That confidence, that swag. Okay.
Iverson did, but the thing about Magic, and the reason why a lot of us were fascinated, because I was just about to get into high school when Magic started playing for the Lakers, right? And so all the stuff that we used to hear in basketball practice, we used to see Magic do the complete opposite.
Right.
And my basketball coach was like, Uncle Freezie, you better get that layup off the box, and I would go to the rim and finger roll, and it'll wrap around the rim and wrap around the rim and go down. and I know I have to run 10 laps. I know I have to run 10 laps after that. But my homeboys will be like, man, that finger roll was sweet. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, I saw Magic throw, no lie, I saw Magic on the fast break throw a 50-foot bounce pass with his opposite hand in traffic for a dunk to Byron the Frenchman Scott. Right. And I came in practice the next day, and Coach Mr. Marcel was like, boy, this is a different era when coaches used to wear suits and hard heel shoes to every event, and they be in the gym smoking them long cigarette ashes all over the floor. He was like, boy, you better not. And he was an Italian, Mr. Marcel. I better not see y'all doing. We playing Bayonne. As soon as I get the rebound, I look, I see my man Jason streaking on the other side. Man, I cock that hand back and throw that bounce pass with the wrong hand. And the first thing he do is look to Chris. Chris, get in there and get him. He didn't even look to see if Jason made the layup. I'm like, Coach, Jason made the layup. I'm sitting. So Magic Johnson changed the way the game looked, because before Magic Johnson, the NBA was basically like watching Hoosiers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, for where we were in Jersey City, everything had to be fundamentally sound. You had to be fundamentals.
Right.
So
yeah, those was my guys. And I was so happy when, if I could have, I would have. I regret I didn't make it to Springfield to see Iverson get inducted and Patrick Ewing get inducted. But when I was watching Iverson, and he nailed it. He said, all of those arguments you've had with your friends that I'm not a winner and whatever they were saying, I'm solidified now. I'm in the Hall of Fame. So you could go back and you could tell them that. Because that was the argument. Oh, he's not a winner. You can't win with a player like that. And I'm going to just say this last thing. Say what you want about that whining ass Larry Brown.
Right.
He understood. Don't bring in no scorers to come play next to Iverson because they ain't getting the ball. We just Jerry Stackhouse, whoever they tried. You got to build the team a certain way around Allen Iverson. And that's what Dallas is going to have to do with Luka. Don't bring in no other scorer, whatever, because it's just not going to happen.
Right.
You got to construct that roster specifically.
Ball dominant. He ball dominant.
Yeah.
If you got to share it, your team ain't going to win.
Correct. You know, and Larry Brown did that, and they went to the Western Conference. I mean, the East to the championship. Actually,
Beat
they
Toronto.
didn't win
They
it.
beat Toronto in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right.
In a game
That-
7.
oh man, that run that they made, Milwaukee and Ray,
Yep.
that was
Yep.
magical. If you was
was
an
magical.
Iverson fan,
Yep.
just to see your guy, somebody you rooted for,
Yep.
go off the way he did in all 3 of those playoff series,
Yep.
and then they ran into a buzzsaw with the
Yep.
Lakers and Kobe Bryant. Man, they got
Probably-
that first
probably
game,
the
gave you a
greatest
little
team.
bit of hope.
Yep. That was the first game they lost in the playoffs too.
Yeah.
They won they were 12-0 in the playoffs. They swept everybody until Philly beat them.
Yep.
And then game 2, they put the
3, 4, and 5. They didn't win not another game. You know,
They waxed Philly,
in the playoffs. But if Iverson was your guy, that was the playoffs to watch.
Yep.
For sure.
He was a complete. Allen Iverson was the complete superstar. Like everything about Allen Iverson was life, right? You wanted the Iverson sneakers, you wanted the Iverson jersey.
Don't put it that way. Put it Iverson got it straight. Don't put it to the side. I need it straight.
Yeah, the corn, everything.
Right.
Everything. He took everything to that Jordan level and sometimes beyond.
Because basically, what you were seeing in your neighborhood, Iverson was bringing it to the NBA.
Right.
And wanted to know what was the problem, that you had a problem with what he was doing.
This is what we look like out here, is what I got from Iverson. This is what we really look like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We don't look like corporate entities, even though we are. Once you get to the NBA, you're a corporate entity.
Right.
But the thing about it is we don't look like that in the street. That's what Iverson was saying.
Right. And these are my people. And they was my people before I got here, and they're gonna still be my people. What is your problem? The swag on this kid.
Yeah.
My goodness.
And you don't find it to be hilarious that the Knicks are anti that right now? Like we don't have that type of guy on our team. I'm trying to think of the swaggiest. Who's the swaggiest person on our team?
Randle,
we don't have a swaggy guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but you got to have game though.
You gotta, you just can't be.
You gotta have game. Yeah, you gotta have game. Iverson had,
right,
and he just laid it all on the line. He didn't care, put his body out there, like whatever. This skinny dude,
right?
Right. Somebody said IQ, maybe. Randle, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, Freeze. Always a pleasure to kick it with you.
Of course.
Had
great fun. These questions be tough. These questions be tough for people, for y'all that don't know. My preference is always don't ask me what the questions are. Let me think about them in the moment, because I get a better feel, because I tend to overthink stuff. So if you tell me beforehand, then I'll be thinking like about 1,000 crazy answers. I just want like this feeling of just let me know like when the show starts, like what the questions is.
That's even better, because sometimes I don't have the questions until the show starts.
And so that's what makes it fun for me, because I'm on the spot and you can get what I'm really, really feeling. Right. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes for other Knicks content creators, it might be a little bit too much, because they want to know what I'm gonna say before I say it.
Right.
But this right here, this just feel right. So appreciate y'all coming through, hanging out with us.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Next week, you'll let us know whether we're going to be on the YouTube channel, whether will be on the audio podcast, and let them know.
Definitely audio podcasting.
Okay.
Definitely. So the audio podcast is named NBA 360. And it's on all your streaming platforms. Come check us out. It's a different type of conversation. It's more like a back and forth. And you know what I'm saying? Just mad thoughts and insight about the Knicks and the Knicks landscape, the NBA landscape, and how it's the NBA landscape, but it's how it impacts the Knicks.
Right.
So it's NBA 360. It's all Knicks, but it talks about how for instance, how the Damian Lillard rumors impacts the Knicks summer going forward and stuff like that. So
right. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Hit the like button on your way out. Listen, this show, Dope Soul Sports Talk, ain't around. None of these shows is not around without the chat. I really do appreciate you guys tuning in, giving your support. And a lot of the ideas, you know, I do feel like, you know, I don't really believe this, but this is what's going around in the chat. Let's talk about it. You know, so I do, you know, what you guys say, you know, I do take it under consideration in terms of whether or not I'm going to do a show on it. But until next time, I appreciate you guys. Peace.
Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it. Nobody don't know about it. In fact,